Hey guys, it's Lee. Welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to be trying something a little bit different because I thought, you know what, it's the time of change. I am turning the big 3-0, and I got this idea from Amanda Rach Lee's channel because she's been throwing her face on camera while doing her setups, and I thought, why not give that a go? It takes a little bit more effort to look camera ready because normally I record these in my PJs. But without further ado, let's just jump right into the setup. So to start off my 30th year, we are actually going to be doing, oh, and it didn't start recording on my mic. Okay, recording in 3, 2, 1 on my mic. Better sound quality, yes. So for my 30th year, we are starting with the same book that I used a few years ago. I really loved the whale design on it, and I wanted it to connect with the Notebook Therapy's Dreamland theme, and I wasn't able to get a second book, so I thought connecting both the whale and the other whale in the reformed version for the next half of my year would be great. For this setup though, I actually made it a bit shorter than I have in previous years. This time I wanted my cover page to be a mix of 2 pages because I really like the freedom that gives me to have more of an expansive cover, and plus it takes away some of the anxiety from opening that first page and that bend and everything. So the design here is, as you guys know who have been here for a while, that I always start my books on my birthday, or at least October. Most people start them in January, but I'm quirky and different, I guess. I don't know, I just always considered my birthday the proper new beginning, and it didn't really feel like I'm starting anew in the new year anyway, so hence the big 3-0. I don't really feel that old, if I'm being completely honest. I feel still like I'm 22, just like that damn song. Hell, you still feel like you're 22. But at the same time, to not let myself freak out too much, I'm trying to treat my 30s as okay, you worked your ass off for the past technically 5 years on YouTube, and I am ready to move on to the next step of actually feeling successful with that, because I set a lot of goals for when I turned 25 after my health scare and bad job, that I was I want to make my life great. And that sounds so cliche, but I feel like I did that. And I'm just ready for that next step, right? So 30 does sound incredibly old. 30-somethings usually have their shit together, right? But I definitely don't. But I'm still very proud of how far I've come with it. But moving on to our future log, I got inspo from Journal Away. She does a lot of really artistic bullet journal setups. If you haven't checked out her channel, which you probably have, if you've seen mine, you've probably seen these big game changers on bullet journals. But she did a lot more cutouts. She used sticker sheets because she has a sticker printer. I do not. So I was just using a bunch of my old colors, actually from my Winter Wonderland drawer in my scrapbook stuff. I wanted the blues of this book to match better with the dark navy blue of the cover. And since I started changing up my themes to be whatever the theme of the front cover is, I've enjoyed making them a lot more, and I think it just looks more aesthetically pleasing. So the whole theme with this guy is to bring in the dark blues and the almost dusty baby blues, and combining my old ocean theme with the Dreamland cloud theme to match Notebook Therapy's thoughts. And it really just matched my whole vibe, which what my channel really turned into, my first channel really, because when I first started it, I was just kind of going with my mood and trying a bunch of things until I found something that stuck. And I've always been a daydreaming person, so when I realized I could really use the clouds aesthetics to my advantage for my channel, it just everything clicked. And plus my favorite color is baby blue, so having a mix of clouds with ocean stuff, I'm clearly an ocean person. I just love the idea of mixing the two, and then it kind of brought in the old setup that has been the best serving on this channel, mixed with what my main channel is all about. So yeah, that was the idea behind that. The colors for next bullet journal will be very similar since we are going with a full year of theme. However, it'll be different types of blues and slightly different designs, but the theme will still be the overarching ocean and clouds. To actually add a bit more dimension to this, not just having like the lines be scrapbook paper, I also cut out you saw. I drew out a bunch of clouds and I cut them out and threw in some cute little like seal stickers that I got in Loft in Japan. I wanted to be able to have more whales and dolphins and stuff like that, but I didn't find any of those when I was at Loft. Otherwise, trust me, I would have bought them. And seals aren't whales, but it's still a sea life, so I think it works. So moving on to our index page. This one, I really loved how I did my index page for my last book, which is why I'm using this Kirby sheet again, but instead of actually using the Kirby sheet, because obviously that's not going to go with this ocean theme, we are doing the outline tracing because it still had a very cloud vibe. And I mean, as you Kirby fans know, Dreamland mixed with this theme, it totally works. So spent an obscene amount of time cutting this out and tracing it, but once I was able to lay it on that book, I was like, this looks beautiful. I love it. I love it so freaking much. So sliced off the half and then added some more of those cutout clouds from some other color blues that I have. That idea I actually got from my May setup when I was experimenting with that. And when I tried comparing like on a scrap piece of fabric, like how a cutout version of a cloud from blue paper would look compared to just drawing those same clouds and then coloring them in with tombos, it looked way more, I don't know, it just looked better. When I cut them out like that, it gave the page more dimension, but also without it being like too bulky. That's the only thing with scrapbook paper. It's much thicker than just like regular paper, like from notepads and stuff. So if you do decide to go down this route, just be wary about like the thickness you're buying. If you're doing like more bigger pages, like just test the paper when you're buying it from a scrapbook store if you do want to go that route. Do the next page. This one was another inspo from Amanda's setup, but it was from her 2022 setup. It was her gold page as well. And I basically used the very similar like idea behind her aesthetic with the cutouts and everything. But I did get a little bit scissor happy. So if you're doing this, be very, very careful because you can see that I sliced a little bit of my thread, which obviously not great. But worst comes to worst, if you do have this happen, do what I did and just slide some washi tape that still looks aesthetic to it right on top, and that should solve your problem. If you cut it a little bit more intensely than I did, try using some fabric tack. I'll actually throw some on screen because I don't feel like recording any B-roll. This stuff. This is what I've been using to glue all of my stuff to my book, and it is a godsend. But do not, for the life of me, do not buy this from Michaels. I love Michaels. It has its good vibes, but since they've been taking away like their 50% off coupon and stuff, like get this at Walmart. This size only cost me $10, but Michaels will charge you like $20 something for that same size. So that's a little tip if you're starting to do bullet journaling and you're into the more scrapbooky feel compared to like I'm just going to use my pencil type of thing. And I actually like really dissected Amanda's video and like zoomed in to see how many dots she did down. When I'm feeling like I'm in a creative rut, that's usually what I tend to do, and then throw my own aesthetic into it, because I wasn't a huge fan of the black and white thing, but I did like the idea behind it. So when you're starting bullet journaling, it's actually a really good idea to like look at a bunch of other people's stuff and obviously like just copy what you think will work for you. That's what I do with a lot of my stuff. I combine so many different videos that I see and so many stuff from Pinterest, and then by the time I combine it all together, it looks like a brand new piece of work. So yeah, if you're stuck, use things as outlines, not just as a copy and paste if you want to get a little bit more creative with it. But for my goals, I actually kept it a little bit shorter than I did for my last setup. I feel like it's good to have like the space to draw it out, so I kept some spots open, but I feel like I've achieved a lot in the past 5 years, so my list has actually gotten a decently amount. That didn't make sense. My list has gotten a bit shorter, so I didn't think I needed that much extra space. for the little extra touch on those clouds, I put on a white marker just to do a little fit, 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 and I just think it like adds that little extra touch that small details really benefit from. So moving on to our second last page, I think it's my second last. It is my finance page. So in my 20s, it was all about building my confidence and testing out my artistic flair in different mediums and all that, and really just finding like what feels like the most me. But now that I feel like I've done all that and I know exactly what I want to do and I have all these plans, I really want my 30s to be focused on my financial stability, because I admittedly have not been the best with my money, at least for savings. I feel like I've been okay. Like the money that I've spent, and it's been a lot, has been mostly on travel. The first half of my 20s, I traveled to 9 different countries, and as a 20-year-old, that's a lot of money. I went to a lot of expensive countries, and I will not lie, some of it wasn't paid for me, but I used my unfair advantages. Like, for example, when I went to New York for the first time, my parents helped me out with that one because they promised my sister that they would help her go to Europe for the grade 9 farewell class, and that cost about $2,000 because you're going with the school. And they were going to do the exact same thing for my Europe trip in grade 12, but I was like, no, I want to use that $2,000 towards the first time I get to go to Japan, because I knew Japan was going to be way more expensive. So because of that, I used that $2,000 towards when I actually got to see them in New York. It wasn't Japan, but it was being able to see my idols. And I actually paid for my Europe trip all by myself, just from a minimum wage job during high school. Things like that. And also, like when I went to the Bahamas in 2014, I went with a former friend. Careful who you travel with, friends. If I have to leave you any real life advice, careful who you travel with. But things like that. So my money was spent on that and building my proper wardrobe in a couple of years ago, and then when I got really into YouTube, it was all spent on big projects and then eventually moving to Japan. So in my 30s, now that I've achieved all those things, and it's just like editing most of those things that I've spent money on for the videos, I want my goals to be like, let's get my career and financial stability underway and actually start a real savings account. And I've already gotten a head start. My dad has helped me set up investments. He's really into investing gold, so he's been teaching me through that, and I got myself out of massive debt from coming back from Japan. So I'm making my way, but unfortunately, I'm not making any money from YouTube as of right now. So that is the main goal. But yeah, that's why I wanted to have my finance page take up the entire year in this first book, so that I don't have to worry about like making it a second time. And I gave myself way more space to keep track of all my finance stuff. Admittedly, I probably should have had an extra spot to lay out my monthly bills, but they haven't changed since I made them in my last one, so I didn't really see a super full point to redoing it all over again. So yeah, that's what the finance page is. It's to really just track how much money is coming in, how much money is going out. Because if I'm going to be an entrepreneur, I need to get my shit together, you know? So after I finished setting up all the folders and everything, I added a few more of my washi tape stickers, and this is actually the last strip from this beautiful whale washi tape that I have of this line. I got it from an old scrapbook store. Unfortunately, this scrapbook store is not open anymore. They closed it. So I visited a new scrapbook store that's closer actually where I live, and it's a very cute place, but it has a lot less selection than this bigger one had, so that's kind of disappointing. But that's where I got this new washi tape, and it didn't match the vibe 100%, but that's hard to do when you're not buying like a full line of something. But I feel like it matched it enough that it still blended pretty well. And then because I didn't want to like repeat too much of the pattern, I just add a little bit of the coral reef stuff on the corners of both sides. Also, it was kind of tricky to cut off the edge of this. I should have given myself some more pull space with the washi tape, but with how little I had left of this line, and it's really my favorite washi tape line, I didn't want to waste as much as I could. All right, so our very last spread for my 30th year. This one is also taken from a meta actually, but it's the first time I've ever incorporated it into one of my books. It's called the 30s Highlight Reel. Now, I put in the entire... Wait, no, I didn't. Never mind, scratch that. I only put up to December for this part. Kind of just was thinking maybe for finance it should only be the full year for that. But for this, she actually like laid out the size of like those Polaroid photos. And I thought that'd be a really fun thing to do because I actually used to do that when I was doing smash booking. Does anybody remember that trend? Anyone on here that remembers that? It was a whole thing back in my early 20s. It makes me sound so old, but I did that before I discovered bullet journaling, and it was basically a hub for all your memories of like random things that could evoke any kind of memory. And I used to put Polaroids in them when it's way up there and you can't see it because I don't want to wreck my camera right now, but used to take that around with me on my trips with my friends and just take pictures of them. But they actually, my best friends, they gave me one of the first printers that prints off from your phone. But unfortunately, because it was the first type, they didn't actually come with a battery charger. And when I ran out of battery, I kept forgetting to buy one, and then years passed, and now it's basically obsolete. And I don't even know where it is anymore at this point. So when I brought that up to a very special someone, he was like, well, your birthday's coming up. How much are a printer? So he bought me one, and it just came in the mail a couple days ago. So thank you so much for that, if he watches this video. And gave me a bunch of footage stuff to print them off. So now I can actually use this properly. I was going to buy one for myself, but I mean, I'm not going to say no to a present. I just decorated up the title on the left side, Highlight Reel. And because I just wanted to make it a little bit more along the scrapbooky side, kind of like I did on the cover page, I just ripped a dark blue paper from my Sailor Moon setup actually, and it really matched the vibe well and just kind of did the same concept as my cover page. Nothing really too much else to say. I liked the idea of like splitting up the colors of the fonts and everything. I think that added a really good extra touch. But then just colored in the photo corners just so I can actually know exactly where the placement should be, and just did a quick little writing of what month is supposed to be for what. And that was basically it. Added the clouds, but as you can see at the top part there, you have to be careful with the fabric tack if you do decide to use that tactic, because if you put it on a little bit too much, it can spread out and that can stick really weirdly. So I had to really do my best to try to like cut that out, but I fixed it for the most part. Added some extra doodles and moon and stuff. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Oh, I forgot about this one other slip. So another sticker sheet from Japan's Loft. Beautiful ones. It was kind of hard to find sticker sheets that had enough dark blue that would match this theme. So I didn't actually use too much from this sticker sheet, but stay tuned. Eventually, when I'm caught up on my The Leaf Factor stuff, I will be uploading Loft stationery hauls. So if you're interested in that, please subscribe. Whenever I have a new video, it will be released on Scrappy Wednesdays. But with that, that ends my bullet journal setup for my 30th year, starting a brand new book and all that fun stuff. I love how aesthetic it feels, how it matches the cover of the freaking book, and my two favorite things, well, actually I shouldn't say two, ocean life, baby blues, and clouds, three things all combined into one glorious setup. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully you liked this new format. And if you did, And if you do like it, please let me know in the comments and like this video too, because I would like to get monetized and fulfill that one last goal before I hit 30. I will see you guys next Scrappy Wednesday. No, not next Scrappy Wednesday. I will see you for the October setup, and this one is a long overdue one, so I'll be doing something extra special for it as well. So stay tuned for that Scrappy Wednesday, and yeah, that's all I have to say. Bye!